set my my oat milk coffee down. I'm going to turn down the sound effects just a little bit to make sure that we have an appropriate level for our audio.
Yes.
Welcome to Thursday.
That's important.
Oh, it is. You're 100% correct. Welcome to Thursday. It's time for the Altar Live Show. I am Andy.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Maeve.
Well, Maeve, thanks for being here. Maeve has some exciting information. Do we want to share this now, or do we want to tease it and wait till later?
Oh, the information. Okay, yes. So I will be taking a trip during the month of June.
On a favorite rocket ship.
Yeah. I'll be going abroad to England, which I'm very excited. I'm going with my sisters, and I'm visiting some family over there. And so, I know, it's very exciting. I'm very excited, but that might mean I won't be as present in the next few episodes of Altar Live. Hopefully I'll pop in here and there, but Andy so kindly told me to, take advantage of this time abroad.
Little does Maeve know that I'm super jealous that she's going to England, because it's a mecca for me right now. It's eventually my wife and I are going to get there before we die. Don't know when, but it's going to be...
No, you will.
No, we have to.
Yeah.
It's just a short... Here's the problem. My wife and I hate flying, so that's an issue.
That is an issue.
Yeah. And we're not going to get there by boat. It's going to take 2 weeks to get there by boat.
And that, I feel like, does that still happen? Do people still boat to England?
Oh, I don't know. After the Titanic, I'm sure all ship liners stopped.
Yeah. I was haven't heard of someone boating to England unless it's like a sailboat expedition type situation.
Like those crazy people on YouTube that I love watching. Yeah, like two dudes in a sailboat for 3 weeks. That's awesome.
That really is a dream.
My wife and I, when we retire, we're going to do one of two things. We're either going to buy an RV and go around the United States, just me and her.
That's so fun.
Or, since we live in Florida, right on the coast, we're going to buy a sailboat and sail around down the Gulf of Mexico, into the Caribbean, into all over the place, down to South America. We want to do this.
That's amazing.
I like to sail, and so it's a thing. Like, I know how to sail. My parents owned a sailboat. Like, it's a thing. And after a while, they just kind of drive themselves. So you can
They do.
Yeah. Anyway,
my dad grew up doing that too with his family.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the best story is that he said he sailed right through the Bermuda Triangle. It was very, very exciting.
And he saw a plane go down right over him, and it was the plane from Lost. Dun,
exactly.
Dun, dun.
He saw Amelia Earhart waving on the...
Well, our normal intro just went to crap there, Maeve. Usually we take care of a recommendation from one of the Altar Live hosts. Do you have a recommendation for the Altar Live fam today?
I do, and I won't take up too much time. And before I say it is a recommendation, but it's also maybe almost like a show and tell kind of thing. Like, I have a story that happened, and this is really fun. And if you ever have time to do it, you should. So last week, I want to say, or maybe the week before, I went bird watching for the first time.
What?
Yes. Okay, binoculars in hand. My dad is an amateur birder. That is a term. He really, really likes studying. I think I mentioned this before, but we have a lot of bird feeders at our house, and he researches the kinds of seeds that certain birds like, so he's able to attract certain birds to our bird feeder. And even though we live in Pennsylvania, kind of not middle America, but below New England, close to the south-ish, not like an exotic place to live, you'd be surprised how many beautiful birds are local and that just kind of hang out in the tops of the trees, and you don't know they're there. And so there's a river, Brandywine River, near our house in the Delaware.
I know where that is.
We live right by there.
No way.
So we go to the Brandywine State Park, and then we just kind of slowly move our way through the trail, and then as soon as we kind of hear a bird call, which That's all the time. But since you don't really pay attention, you just kind of don't notice that there are so many all around you. But you just have to really take your time and really kind of listen. And then as soon as you hear something, you think like, oh, what's that? And then you take your binoculars, try to find it, and it's really fun. And it actually takes like a little bit to get used to using binoculars.
Huh.
But once you're able to see the bird, it's like really exciting and really rewarding because
Really?
it is like a hunt. Because you can sometimes see the bird, but since it's so far away, you can't tell what kind it is, and because of like shadows and stuff. But then when you get up close with the binoculars, there's like orange and blue and goldfinches. My favorite is an indigo bunting, which we did see. It's like this bright indigo, like
Ooh.
blue bird that is like common in Pennsylvania, but you just don't see it because they hang out on the tops of the trees. So if you need some time, like being quiet in nature, I was thinking like if you, it's like if it's really great for people if you're really close to them, like you have a good relationship with them because you're fine being in silence. But it also could be a good activity if it's like you don't know what the vibe is because you're just kind of silently like walking together. Doesn't take a lot of talking. So
No,
I
you
was
have to
thinking like
you have to intentionally shut up the entire time.
exactly. So I really enjoyed it. We went twice, and then my dad went on Sunday, and I like couldn't go, and he was like, I had the best like luck, and I was like, dang it,
Huh.
I knew because I didn't go with him like that particular day. But he saw some really cool stuff. It was like indigo bunting, goldfinch, Carolina warbler, yellow rumped warbler, like all kinds of birds. It's crazy.
How do you identify the sound?
Well, my dad, well, like you kind of learn. My dad actually has an app. It's like kind of like Shazam. You can literally like put up your phone and it tells you kind of a selection. It's so nerdy,
Oh,
but I
that is
love it.
awesome.
I know it is. And then because we also have like, and so his method, which is probably not, like what intense birders do, but he likes to take pictures, and so he has a good camera, so he'll often like take a photo, and then when he gets back he kind of looks through his like bird book and online to see like, okay, this looks like this, but no, wait, it's actually this. And
Hmm.
so sometimes we don't even know what we have seen until we get back home and do some research. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's pretty cool,
I,
kind of nerdy, but
no,
fun.
I think it's great. I've just
Yeah,
always I've bird watching is always that catchword in TV shows for like, oh, they're just bird watching, and it's just kind of
exactly.
like wasting time, but it sounds awesome.
No, it's like, and it's really, you can like, it's very, uh, like what's the word, like meditative.
Hmm.
Is that, yeah, you can kind of just take your time. And like, I can imagine like you could honestly make like a whole, like I'm, thinking about all sorts of things, thinking it's like very spiritual in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah, it was nice. And it's
Huh.
good. And it's good, family time too. But yeah, bird watching, guys.
Well, thank you
Try
for
it.
sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, catch the fever. Catch the bird watching fever.
Yeah.
Uh, thank you for sharing that, Maeve. Thanks for sharing with the
Thank you.
class.
Yes.
Well, let's move on to the episode for today. Maeve, if you don't mind, I'll give a little bit of a disclaimer before we get going here.
Totally. Go for it.
The idea behind Alter Live is that we have leaders and pastors and community leaders and owners and formers all using this platform to, in essence, up the engagement level of their community. And that involves having a certain set of hosts and greeters and leaders and people that lead. But the vast majority of the people on your platform have no idea about what you're doing behind the scenes
Mhm.
and never really care. And they
Mhm.
just want to make sure that they log into your community, they click that event, and it works. That's all they want. And the idea that we as leaders need to get back to basics is something I think we need to hear often. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the basic things about Alter Live today. Not that you don't already know them, but it's going to help you as the leader or help you as the pastor to see things through the eyes of somebody who is visiting your digital church space for the first time, or maybe logging in for one of their inaugural times. It's going to help you with event planning. It's going to help you with preparation for your community. And most importantly, it's going to help you train your hosts and greeters to then go and replicate the same process. Otherwise, they're just going to say, hey, yeah, you just click the button and the button's not there. Or, hey, you type this thing and the thing's not there. And so we need to make sure that we're getting back to basics.
Right.
Make sense?
Right. Yeah. So we're kind of putting ourselves in the participants' shoes. That was the fun little phrase I came up with. Very original. Thank you.
Maeve, I appreciate it. It's great.
Yes.
You go ahead and talk while I pull up the event
Sure.
here.
So I think where we start as putting ourselves in a participant's shoes is kind of actually the middle of the process for hosts and greeters and admin and like people who go through the event creation process. Because if you're thinking about the beginning of an event for a participant, it really starts with the community landing page.
Right.
Which right. So hopefully your church has set up a community landing page. We have a great kind of process through that where you can really customize it to fit your church's aesthetic, the color palette, your logo. And it's just a really nice dashboard place where people can easily access the event.
Right.
So if you pull up like what it looks like, I guess. Yeah. So your guests and participants will be able to scroll through and see which event they want to go to. And so this is what it will look like. This is, and like this, like our community landing page, it's actually set up really nice because it's very obvious of like what each of the events are, because it's really important to be specific and not be obvious, because obvious is sometimes like negative, but just be very intentional. Yes,
absolutely. So after kind of directing your folk to the community landing page, this is obviously, you're going to want to link this from your website. You're going to want to have a button somewhere. You're going to want to link this on your socials. It's always helpful to make sure that it's super obvious. You don't necessarily have to have your people always go to the community landing page. You can see down here with this button, you can share the link itself. So I can just copy the link. I can send an email. I can automatically have a Facebook post set up or have a tweet set up with this link, because we're going to be going to this event here in a second. So you can do all that. That's fine. You can keep directing them there, or you can have this link update in certain platforms. Our advice is to just keep sending people to the community dashboard, because you want it to get ingrained that they're going to be able to see the upcoming events, if there is anything big going on, all those other things. Now, when they actually click the event, so I've got an event, I've got the same event pulled up, they're going to be in this sort of page, and they're not going to understand what's going on. And let me go to the welcome. It might not give me the welcome here. Oh, here we go. So they're going to see the event, but then this sort of welcome thing is going to pop up. And we call this the product tour. It has these nice little GIF display. Are you a GIF or a GIF person?
I'm GIF.
I am too.
What are you?
I'm a GIF. It's graphical interchange format.
Yeah,
but
I never.
It's
I
interchangeable.
never said GIF.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't look down upon people. But so you're kind of given this product platform. Welcome to your church, and you can kind of customize what this says here. You can people can skip the tour, but it always helps that if they go through next. And so when you're training people to go to Ultra Live, have them mouse through this stuff. Here's how everything works. You can chat with people, and so you select a seat, and you do all these things, and then you get that's it, ready to engage thing. Now, when you don't have as many cookies as I have set up, and if this is somebody's first time, they'll actually get a pop-up that looks something like this. And you can actually edit your name.
Even if you haven't logged in.
Right.
Which is nice.
Very cool. Now, speaking of logging in, the only way, obviously we know this, but the only way that people can interact with cameras and microphones on, or the only way that people can type into the general chat, I can use the My Chats all day. But you can see down here it says log in, or down here if I tried to actually type something, see I clicked that and then it gave me, hey, you need to be logged in. So now I'm just going to say, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to log in. All you got to do to train your people is, hey, this is literally what you can say. It's one click to log in. You can either use your Google or Facebook account or use your email. We're not going to collect any of your data or any of your information. This is just simply so I can identify you for security purposes more than anything, because there is a little bit of a security protocol. We actually talked about that last week in our episode, so you can kind of go back and into our playlist and listen to that if you're interested about how we secure our platform. But essentially, we're just making people take an extra step. So I'm just going to log in with my account. I'm going to hit proceed, and I've already got my email address filled in. You can also send a magic link if you want. Super simple.
Love the magic link.
Love the magic link. Before I had my password
saved
manager
me.
keep saving it. Oh, goodness. Saves a whole lot of time. All right, Maeve, so what's next?
Right. Okay. There was one thing I wanted to mention about the My Chat, how Andy said that you can use that. If you're not logged in, really the only way you can use it is if you're chatting with the hosts,
Right.
which is actually really great.
Right.
And this is kind of going back to the whole like host engagement tips rather than participants, which we're focusing on. This really brings the opportunity for the host to start reaching out. So even if they've already kind of clicked through the product tour, even if they've like read through it really thoroughly, or maybe did the classic like click through without actually paying too much attention, because it's fine. People don't always want to like read things right away. This gives you the opportunity to reach out to people like personally in their My Chats or in the general chat. And I think it's always important, even though you have the product tour, it's really important to say, we're so glad you're here. Take a seat. If you've logged in, take a seat, kind of go through all those basics just so they know. Just like repeating information is really helpful. And to get it from the product tour is really helpful because it has some nice visuals, but then also having that personal touch of you, the host, reaching out really, really makes a difference, because that kind of shows the participants that you're really watching out for them and not just some automated robot, because you know how impersonal those can be sometimes.
Yep, they can.
Okay, where were we? Oh, yes. So once you do log in, once you have your participants log in, and if you're someone who's joining the event for the first time, that's when all of the features are kind of open to you. So your participant, so maybe when someone has logged in, that's when you can kind of start repeating like, take a seat in the rows, or type in the chat, tell us where you're coming from. Just kind of having those simple instructions and letting them know that those features are open to them, because as soon as they log in, they can sit in a row, they can go in the chat, but they can also respond to polls. Oh, and just if you're not logged in, you can still get announcements, because those are kind of, those won't really affect anything if you're not logged in. So that's really helpful. But yeah, so as soon as your participant logs in, that's when that's the kind of that next step of showing like, oh, okay, I'm maybe intentional about sticking around, or because I think it's actually really nice how people can watch the event and kind of be a part of it when they're not logged in. But obviously we need to have those security reasons, so we found that nice balance of them being able to participate but not getting too into the nitty-gritty right away.
Agreed. Cool. So the idea behind all of this, of course, is that we're training you to train your people to do the basic things. I think if we can be real for a sec before we kind of get to some tips and tricks, the big thing, and Maeve can attest to this as well, that we hear from a lot of people is that UltraLive is great, but our people don't use it. And what they mean by that is they'll use chat because chat is kind of this ingrained thing. We all know how to do chat. We all know how to do emojis. We all, even my grandmother, who's 88 years old, will pop into the chat on our online or in my church, and she'll know how to send smileys and know how to like and know how to, and she's 88. She's amazing. But the moral of that story is we all know how to do that stuff. But what we don't know how to do is actually get people to sit in these rows, because this row or the table in a lobby or a meeting, this is where the magic really happens. This is what Stephanie, our CEO, calls the secret sauce. This is the magic ingredient of what makes UltraLive really the next step into digital engagement, the face-to-face
Yes.
emoting, seeing, talking to people. So with that, with kind of all the basics out of the way, we kind of wanted to give you a few tips and tricks to help you in that process. And the first tip that we have is to purposefully host. So what we mean when we say purposefully host is kind of like Maeve was talking about, pop into the main chat and instruct everybody how to act. You're not being demanding, you're not being bossy, you're not yelling at them. Instead, what you're doing is you're showing people how or what to do. You're talking them through. You're being very purposeful about your intentions for what we're doing here. Because otherwise, people are going to default to, well, this is another chat room, so I'm going to sit here. They'll click on the seat and nobody will join. Or they'll click on a seat with 2 or 3 other avatars there sitting in that row, and nobody will have their camera on, or nobody will have their microphone on, and they'll leave. And then at that point, you're just in another chat room. You as the host and you as the leader want to make sure that you are putting yourself in that mind's eye of, okay, if I have a new person that comes in and doesn't see anybody in the seats, they're never gonna jump into the seat with me. So the second part of that tip is also try to match people up. So if you see Maeve and she's in a row, and Jimmy Lipper pops into the chat and says, "Hey guys, I'm from Tampa," and you go, "Oh my goodness, thanks for being here, Jimmy." And then you say, "Hey, Maeve in the first row has a seat open. Why don't you sit with her?" And then Maeve, being the good host that she is going to go, "Hey, Jimmy, why don't you come sit over here and we'll find out something." It might seem a little weird, but guess what? You need to get people over the weird hump before you actually get into the engagement part of all of this.
Right. And I think we're always craving that church family. And this is and we're always talking about how much we want it, and if we don't have it, so why don't we kind of get over it and take that leap.
That's good.
It's definitely going to be weird in the beginning, but I think once you just take that leap, it's just going to get easier and easier, and it's there's really nothing to lose. It is getting back that community that we sometimes lose when we're online. This is where true online community can happen. And I like what you said about, I know it might seem really simple to kind of call people by name, but using people's first names in the chat, or reaching out to them directly, even if you're reaching out to directly and you still use their name, that makes such a difference, such an impact. You don't realize it, but if someone ever uses my name when they're talking to me, it's I don't know, it just makes you think that they care and they want to remember your name and remember who you are. I called the bank yesterday, and the lady gave me her name, and I was okay, today, I don't know, for some reason it made me a little awkward to say "Oh, thanks so much, Dawn," but instead I was "Thank you, Dawn," and she was my new best friend by the end of the call. And how those awkward bank conversations can be. Yeah. And so I was I'm gonna really try to do that. Sometimes I forget people's names because I'm so focused on trying to make a good impression, but that's a whole other conversation.
That's a personality flaw.
Working on it.
Absolutely.
But so the second one, kind of the second tip, was all about being specific, which kind of goes into, it's almost under the category of purposely host. But the way we think about it is talking about those, answering the unspoken questions of why you're gathering. And it can seem really simple and unnecessary, but if you think of, being in an in-person service, there's always structure. There's always we're going to start worship in a few minutes now, or please, stand with us for this. There's always some sort of structure. And I think having that structure online, people think oh, maybe anything goes online because we're just kind of in our own homes or wherever we are and joining, but still kind of instilling that specific. Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at this. You've got it.
Specific. This is awful. Okay, I can't.
Specificity.
Specificity.
There it
That was so. Oh my
is.
gosh.
You hold on. You get this.
Now I've like forgotten my entire train of thought.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's good. Just like the structure of a service,
Yeah, be
having that,
specific.
maintaining that. Yeah, be specific. Even if it's just like we're so excited for you to be at our Sunday service. We're like, oh, great. Okay, it's a Sunday service. I didn't accidentally log into, the staff meeting
Right.
that was supposed to happen or something. And letting people kind of just being I don't like to use the word obvious, but just like answering the questions that people are probably asking in their brain but won't ask them in the chat.
Yep. No, you're not wrong. And going along with that, I guess goes into our next one, and that's be specific about what you're doing. So, or sorry, give directions in that
Yes.
specificity. I can say the word, I just can't follow the instructions here.
That's gonna scare me now, and I usually can speak. Like I can usually.
No,
say
you're
that
like
word
you're like a
today.
theater nerd. Like you can do
I
this. You're
know.
good with English.
You're
going to the home of English. Think about
I
it.
know.
What's the Queen going to
Shakespeare
say?
is looking down on me right
I
now.
know. That's fine.
Shaking his head. Rolling in his grave.
Oh goodness. We're gonna move right along from that one. In the vein of being specific, the best thing that you can do as well when you are hosting an event, in a person's eye, they need to know what's happening, and if a screen all of a sudden switches, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, a small majority of people are going to hang around because they want to see what's going to happen. Those are usually the same people that will watch the minute of YouTube ads before every video because they want to see what's going to happen. I think those people are war criminals. I don't think we should ever watch any YouTube ad ever, but that's besides the point. The vast majority of the people are going to get a little bit of whiplash and are immediately going to switch out. And so what am I talking about? I'm talking about if I, as the host, say, hey, I'm going to move everyone to the lobby, and I don't tell anybody. And I just say, hey, I'm going to move everyone to the lobby right now. So me as a host, like I can do this. Everybody will get a countdown. They don't have a clue what the lobby is.
What's happening?
Yeah, they don't have a clue what this is. They're going to switch to this new screen, and all of a sudden, they're going to go, wait, where'd the thing go? And 9 times out of 10, people are just going to click out. And that's bad. That's very bad for a number of reasons. That's bad for the idea that you want things to be continuous. People are going to freak out. So the best thing to do is to go into your announcements and make a panel announcement or a modal announcement, but make an announcement and say, call it lobby, if I can spell. See, you can't speak, I can't spell. Hey, we're moving to the lobby in 15 seconds. Stick around for more chatting and fun stuff. There you go. And then you publish that, and then bada bing, bada boom, and then it just pops right here into your panel. Or you can have a modal one, which will pop up right in the middle. That way, people aren't just like getting whiplash and not understanding what the church is doing, and then they'll be more apt to come back.
Right.
Make sense?
I think it's great, and I think it's great that you specifically said.
You said specific
announcements. Well, I didn't say the other one. I'm like
what
not
other
even
one?
gonna touch it for like a day.
What other one?
It's good that you use announcements and not the chat, because I think things could get lost in the chat so easily.
I thought you were going to go specificity.
Specificity.
Oh,
Did it?
See, you're a king now at this.
That was gonna affect me for the rest of the day. But
you got this, Maeve. I have nothing but faith in you.
Thank you. But yeah, things can get lost in the chat. You know those happy typers who would just like type, and then if people don't, and then people ignore the chat if it gets too hectic. With all good things, like if there's any rude things or things that gets too obnoxious, you can always give people boot them off or give people a timeout, which I think is live. If it's not live, it will be hopefully by tomorrow. Fingers crossed. It's coming. So hang tight for that one.
Yep.
But yeah, that announcement feature is really great because it'll directly take people to where it is if it's not a pop-up or if it isn't like one of the modal or the panel is the one that takes you right to it, and then the pop-up will pop up.
Yep.
Love it. Okay, so our fourth one, so it's show, don't tell. And so this is so important. Kind of safe. I mean, they're all super important, but this one is super important because it relies on you, the hosts, to really kind of set the tone. So if you're telling people what to do, if you're being specific, giving directions, intentionally hosting, but not following through yourself, I mean, throw the rest out the window.
Yep.
I mean, you really have to model all the interactions by doing it yourself. So I think it's so important for hosts to always take a seat, to post in the chat, even if it's just reaffirming something that someone already said, or if it's a great worship service, say, oh my gosh, I love this song. What other worship songs would you love to hear? Yeah, posting emojis, anything to get people talking and to get people excited about what's going on. Always be responding to others. I think people love to have people continue their conversation. Even if you were said something like, oh, we're coming from Philly, even if it was just like, oh my gosh, we're so glad to have you. Enjoy a cheesesteak, or something like that. Something fun like that.
How positively stereotypical. I love it.
But I had to do something because if I did something too like niche to where my county is, it would just go like right over.
Enjoy an Utz.
Yeah. Go to Wawa.
Yeah. Oh, hey, don't knock Wawa.
I love Wawa.
Yeah,
I'm not
man.
knocking Wawa.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Yeah, don't besmirch the good name of Wawa.
No. And so just kind of leading by example because, monkey see, monkey do.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
Like
absolutely good.
if you're taking a seat, if you're chatting, like slowly but surely people will start responding. And as we always say, it's a marathon, not a sprint for online engagement.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've covered all of the basics. I think the biggest thing that anybody could take from a discussion like this is, yes, this is the basics, but this is just the beginning of where everything starts. But I think occasionally, this is the reason that a lot of companies and particularly churches will revisit certain topics each year. Like in a church, you're always going to hear a sermon series once a year about tithing. You're always going to hear a sermon series once a year about marriage. And you're always going to hear a sermon series once a year about missions. Those are the three things. Sometimes you'll hear one about parenting and, occasional other things. But those are the three big ones that you're always going to hear something about because it helps everybody to get back to basics. It's a long life. Maeve was right. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We have a lot going on, and we forget a lot of the time that as we get so buried down into the nitty-gritty of day-to-day work, of even platform stuff like Altar Live, that there are people coming in every week that have no idea what's going on. And you need to, just like walking into your lobby and picking up a coffee cup that's been sitting there for a week and throwing it away, you need to go through and just make sure that you are cleaning up in your head exactly what things need to be happening in your digital experience. Maeve, what else am I missing here?
Yeah. No, I think you covered it. It's all about, we always talk about like housekeeping. People always kind of go, this is really your housekeeping. And to always kind of circling back to the mission and figuring out how can you best serve the community? Who are these people coming to our service? Where are they from, I guess, and emotionally, spiritually, how can we best serve them on kind of the emotional community sides and relational sides, but also the technical sides. Like it can be an adjustment getting used to a new way of gathering in community.
Absolutely. Well, I think that about covers it. We're going to be back next week. Hopefully we've got some awesome stuff. Maeve, are you on next week?
Yeah, I'll be on.
Okay, and then the week after that, she is leaving on a jet plane.
Yes.
So we'll throw a party. Maybe we'll dress up in English get up.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly that would be, but
I don't know. I
we
have
could get
these.
creative.
I don't have the caps up here. I wear those English flat caps a lot to church because I
Oh,
love
yes.
those. Because I'm bald and bald guys can get away with them.
Makes me think of like Mary Poppins or
A
something.
little bit, yeah, a little bit. My daughter calls them my Polish hat, which I don't know why, but because they're definitely English or Irish or Scottish or something. I don't know what happened. Yeah, so we're gonna get out of here today. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Ultra Live Show. We love you. If you guys have any questions, if we can help with anything, if you have any show topics that you want to hear of as well, pop them in the
Yes.
old chat and comments, and let us know if there's stuff you want to cover. And we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.